You are welcome to another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. There was just so much the world didn't know about the case against R. Kelly until the Chicago appeal hearing, which shocked many. The appeal left many in disbelief after they found out for the first time that the Chicago federal trial judge Harry Leinenweber actually did judge R. Kelly not based on facts and evidence but on his own preponderance, and that he went ahead to refer to this same preponderance in determining how long his sentence should be. And by preponderance, we are referring to his own personal opinion of the evidence that was presented and not the jury's findings, which was based on the factual evidence. This means that R. Kelly's fate depended on the district judge's feelings and emotions in relation to him, and just in case he didn't like the person, he could easily choose to malice him and go against the jury's findings as he pleased. This left R. Kelly in a situation where his fate was at the mercy of the district judge, who in fact chose to put his newfound power to use and issue him an above guidelines range sentence, one that turned out to be many months in excess of what it's recommended by the law. This rather malicious action by the district judge is one of the major reasons R. Kelly's attorney Jennifer Bonjean is appealing the Chicago case, and this process has in fact educated the whole world on what truly happened. Certainly not many would have expected the experienced trial judge to depend entirely on his personal opinion that was subject to emotional interference in passing judgment over the R&B King, and worse still carry this forward to determining how long a sentence R. Kelly must serve. The argument made by the state attorney who represented government during the Chicago appeal hearing was that in fact, the judge has freedom to follow his own preponderance even on charges acquitted during sentencing. Legal records, however, do show that the application of personal preponderance by the judge can only be done when dealing with civil cases and not criminal cases. In fact, in criminal cases it's required that any evidence presented by the prosecution is proven beyond reasonable doubt and not by preponderance. In criminal cases usually, the burden of proof required for conviction is typically higher than that in civil cases. The reason for this is rooted in the principles of justice and the potential consequences of a criminal conviction, which can include loss of liberty when imprisoned and in some cases stigmatization. The preponderance of evidence standard, which is commonly used in civil cases, means that the evidence presented must only show that it is more likely than not that the defendant committed the alleged act. This standard requires only a slight tipping of the scales in favor of the plaintiff's evidence over the defendant's defense. In contrast, however, criminal cases typically require proof beyond a reasonable doubt. This standard is much higher and demands that the evidence presented must be so convincing that there is no reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors regarding the defendant's guilt. This ensures that the accused is given the benefit of the doubt and protects individuals from being wrongfully convicted and deprived of their liberty. Allowing a lower standard of proof by preponderance of evidence in criminal cases could lead to unjust outcomes, where individuals are convicted based on mere probability rather than certainty. Therefore, to safeguard against wrongful convictions and protect individual rights while handling more serious criminal cases, a higher standard of proof beyond reasonable doubt is required. It's no wonder that many people are now raising questions about the decision to utilize the preponderance of evidence standard in determining R. Kelly's sentence, yet we are talking a criminal case. The district judge, after noticing he lacked reason to issue an above guidelines range sentence, decided to assume R. Kelly guilty for charges he has been acquitted for by the jury and suggests that by his preponderance of evidence, he feels the R&B King did obstruct justice and would be punished with an overcharged imprisonment. This is so wrong on all levels for one to use their personal opinions as a basis for judgment and sentencing while dealing with a criminal case where utmost accuracy and proof is required. And it's no surprise that this departure from the expected approach to proof has drawn sharp criticism, with many arguing that it undermines the fundamental principles of justice and due process. To further explain what exactly this meant, when the preponderance of evidence standard is adopted, the burden falls upon the defendant to prove their innocence, as the presumption of innocence before proof is ignored. It becomes the burden of the defendant to prove that it is more likely than not that he did not commit the alleged crimes. This standard, commonly adopted in civil cases, is definitely much lower than the beyond reasonable doubt standard in criminal cases. In the case of R. Kelly, The use of the lower standard has raised questions about the fairness and legitimacy of the sentencing process. And critics are generally right to conclude that this move shifted the burden onto the defendant to disprove the allegations against him, creating an unequal playing field that jeopardized his right to a fair trial. More concerns have actually been raised on how this move will impact decisions made during future cases involving high-profile defendants. By setting a precedent for the use of preponderance of evidence in criminal sentencing, legal experts warn that the integrity of the justice system could be compromised, leading to further miscarriages of justice and erosion of public trust. In fact, in R. Kelly's case, skeptics have since remained unconvinced, calling for a thorough review of the legal proceedings and a complete re-evaluation of R. Kelly's 240-month sentence. It just wasn't right that the trial judge resort to his own opinions in such a serious criminal case, and to determine R. Kelly guilty over his own preponderances as opposed to real proof of evidence. According to Michael Greer, this has in fact been an issue with our justice system for a very long time. These judges have for long been passing judgment and sentencing our people basing upon their personal feelings other than the facts. Applying this especially when dealing with criminal cases is not just out of order but also out of context, and sadly not many of our defendants can afford appealing such decisions in search for a retrial. It's a shame though to hear fellow judges speak of this action by the trial judge like it's not a crime at all. According to Corey Simmons, attorney Jennifer Bonjean did well during her Chicago appeal submission, but she should have gone after the tape evidence too, which lacked a chain custody to determine its source. In fact, so many arguments which could have benefited R. Kelly were left out. Preponderance is certainly not acceptable in criminal cases, but shockingly, everyone spoke of it like it was the main basis for the 240-month sentence issued above the guidelines range. The Chicago case against R. Kelly was just another hijack of the court to use it for personal gain, but we won't look on and remain quiet. There are minimum standards our court system must meet if they are to be believed in and appreciated as a reputable institution. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.